Hey everybody, it's Bob and Phil, or Phil and Bob, however you want to do it. We're back again with another episode of Conversations with Bob and Phil. We have a really great show, but before we get into our show and the introduction of our guest today, we just have a few announcements, and please bear with me as I share my screen and share some of these announcements. So we're going to share screen. So in regards, if you're very mindful, this is the website. We're going live, virtually live. The conference is ready to go. I'm really happy to reiterate that my alpha brother Cornell West, will be joining us as the keynote speaker. I probably will obnoxiously say that and throw 5 signs in all the chats for the rest of this conference, as well as we have some other things. So please mark your calendar for not only the EACE Conference, which is I think June 23rd and 24th, which you can find on the website, but also be mindful that we have a newcomers event. So if you're new to EACE and you wanted to get to know others and you're not sure what this organization is about, on June 17th at 4 p.m., we will be doing a virtual networking event, which was really fun last year, and we're really going to up it up this year and continue that second annual newcomers event, and bring on and really encourage people to get to know each other, hear from the leadership, EACE leadership, and then have some breakout rooms for smaller, more intimate networking opportunities. So please be mindful of that. All this can be found on the website, as well as the calendar on the website for all the registration links and such. So let's go ahead and stop sharing. And Bob, go ahead and introduce our guest today.
So thank you, Phil. Today we are lucky enough to have Ally Baldwin. Ally is the Assistant Director of Career Services for Digital Student Engagement at Wheaton College in Massachusetts. Ally, welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I'm so glad to have a chance to chat with both of you and be here for all of the Eastern EACE folks.
All right. Well, first of all, I'm not even going to start your journey. I'm just going to give a shout out to the EACE Cats hashtag. Can you please explain to the listeners, what does EACE Cats even mean? And if they go on Twitter, what will they see?
Yeah, it's so way back, I don't even know, was it maybe 2 years ago now? Myself and some other folks on the technology committee, during our Twitter chats, there would be different folks hosting each time, of course, but it was a pretty consistent theme that we would always try to make sure to share different GIFs during the chat that are sort of related, but it was sort of a running trend that everyone would always bring up the Eastern EACE cats and share a GIF of a really funny looking or crazy looking cat. And you know what? It was a lot of fun, and I feel like it really helped us all bond. And so if you search it, you'll see a lot of really amusing and fun commentary.
So I've got a question, and this is not related, but this is more of a personal. Is it GIFs or GIFs? And is that something that I need to know, because I've heard it said 3 different ways this week, and you obviously are an expert, so the Eastern EACE community just wants to know if we can go in the right direction there.
In my opinion, GIF is a peanut butter, and that's about it. So I'm, pretty hard team GIF, but I've definitely heard a lot of controversial opinions. So as far as I'm concerned, insofar as I'm an expert, which I'm not sure if I can be considered a Twitter expert exactly. That's my fault.
So we will get, so now to be a little bit more succinct, and please bring us back to the beginnings of your involvement with Eastern EACE. Your first conference, your first, I guess, virtual engagement. Take us back to the origin. How did you start getting involved?
Yeah, so I actually, way back when I was in graduate school, I became a graduate student member. And, my supervisor at Salem State was really supportive. He encouraged me to get involved. And I wasn't really sure what that looked like exactly. I was kind of like, well, I think professional associations are to connect with people in your field. And I know I'm really excited about career services. But basically, I was encouraged to, right after so it was the December before I graduated from graduate school, and I knew I was going to be job searching. And my supervisor recommended to me, why don't you apply for a professional development grant to be able to attend the conference this summer? because I knew, graduate school, student budget, it wasn't really going to happen if I didn't have a job yet. So I was, I surprisingly received the professional development grant, and I was able to go to my first conference. And it was such an incredible experience. I remember finding out through the grapevine of all the connections I met about 2 or 3 different jobs that hadn't even been posted yet, which was way cool. And I met a lot of different folks who I later have stayed connected with. And someone was sort of sharing about why it's important and exciting to get involved in committees. And she gave a shout out. I should shout her out, actually. It was Amy Smith. She's amazing. And she was sharing how much fun the tech committee is. And I thought, if she says it's fun and she seems really fun, I think I should do this. And so I joined, and I've been a member ever since. So it's been, I think, 4 years or so now. And the whole time it's been so fun to be able to do a bunch of different things within the tech committee, but also just being involved in the organization. So.
No, that's amazing. And shout out to Amy Smith, conference co-chair, birthday today. So this is going live. Amy, if you see this, from the bottom of our hearts, from Phil and Bob and Phil, and obviously Ally, happy birthday. Thanks to LinkedIn for hooking us up with that information today. So Ally, you went to UConn as an undergrad. Talk to us. How did you get into career services? Like, what makes the decision saying, hey, you know what, this is where I think I can have the most impact in supporting people and their futures?
Yeah, and also shout out to Amy again, because she's a UConn alum as well. So it's all about the UConn stuff. I actually worked for dining services. I was a student manager at one of the dining halls on campus. And as part of that, I felt like, I really want to show that I'm taking initiative and being a good manager. So I was asked to be a part of a transfer student orientation and talk about meal plans. But when I was there, I met this woman at the table next to me who was from off-campus student services. And she was being super friendly and asking, like, what do you think you want to do after graduation? And what does that look like? And I pretty much just said, I have absolutely no idea. I wish I could just stay at college forever. So then she said, you could work at a college, which was kind of a novel idea. I had no clue that was something I could pursue, but I found out there was like a 1-credit class I could take to actually learn about student affairs and all the different functional areas. And basically, through that class, I learned that I would probably need a graduate degree. So I went to graduate school. And one of the really cool things about the program that I attended at Salem State was that they had, it was called a graduate retention fellowship, which essentially was you would work in an office at the university for 20 hours a week, and your work would be focused on some kind of initiative or work that would support retention of students. And as part of that, I got my tuition waived. I got paid for 20 hours a week. So it was an incredible experience. But for part of the matching process, I pretty much just said, I think this might be an area that I'm interested in. And I matched up. I did an interview, and the rest is history. I loved it. So.
No, that's awesome. And shout out to, I know Joe from the conference committees at Salem. No, big Bruins game tonight. Probably all locked up, ready to go for that. So shout out there.
That's crazy. I was about to just say that too. I was about to name drop all these people that see they're so intertwined, Joe, all this stuff. So one of the things that just popped in my mind as we're talking is, I think with committee work, right? And this is from all the different ones. Certain ones just have scary labels. And what I mean by that, like, okay, this is like the finance one. And I'm like, oh gosh, I've never managed a lot of money before. Or this one is a conference, experience one, which I'm doing now. That's really scary. I never ran no conference or contributed to the experience of a conference before. So one of my things though is when we hear the word technology, a lot of people freak out. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh gosh, like I'm not an IT professional, or I don't know how to make websites. So can you, for those that are new or learning about committee work, what would you say to someone about lowering the stigma or scariness of those labels, particularly for the technology committee?
Yeah, so I think part of the whole deal about committee work in general it can be so intimidating because you don't really know what to expect. And I think the more that I became involved in the technology committee, it's sort of just like the language is confusing, but once you catch on, it's just a ton of fun all the time. I don't think I've really ever left a committee call and felt like that was super boring. I hated it. But really for the tech committee, I think it's everyone assumes that it's like a bunch of us who are just sitting around like coding behind the scenes or something. I have absolutely no coding expertise, to just debunk that myth if there is one. It's really about how do we, as a community of career services professionals and employers, really utilize the resources. We live in a super tech savvy world. It's all around us. We've got, I was going to say one of the devices that I have sitting next to me, but I can't say her name, ALEXA. So, we've got it all around us. And I think the tech committee is really about just leveraging what's already here. It's not that we're trying to do something really new or scary. It's just about leveraging all of the different things that we already have as part of our day-to-day life in this profession and finding ways to use it more effectively. And one of the things that we've tried to do, it's been a little bit tougher to get off the ground this year just because of such a chaotic year, but our digital champions recognition on the tech committee, it's something back in the beginning of when it transitioned over from the social media member of the month. It was really our goal to try to lift up folks who were maybe super new to technology, but trying really hard to just give it a go and do our best work. So I actually have to credit Dr. Alicia Monroe for her work early on in the Digital Champions Award. And just being able to recognize folks who are doing really cool things or who are just truly fresh, have very little expertise, but they're just trying really hard. Because I think none of us are really as tech savvy as we might sound, or I can't say that for myself, beyond myself, I guess, really, but it's really just about embracing and trying out new things and seeing how it goes.
No, that's fantastic. And I've had the pleasure of walking by. I get the pleasure to work with Dr. Monroe and walking by, what are you doing in there? I'm like, I'm on EACE Twitter chat, or I'm engaging with colleagues from across the world, in her case, or the country, and really, supporting a mission through technology that allows us to connect with people in ways that, something I learned the other day, I'm a geriatric millennial. So as a geriatric millennial, that I learned that I mean, when I was a child, that we probably could not even conceive of. But to speak more about social media, can you talk about some of the things that Eastern ACE has done to kind of embrace social media, one, but two, how do you see our profession using social media in the future, whether it's, Instagram or Twitter, or even places like TikTok and newer technologies that it seems that our younger students are flooding to en masse?
Yeah. I mean, I think technology is one of the, I think even when I think about Twitter chats, the first time I ever heard about a Twitter chat, I was like, what is that? Why would I want to get involved? And then all of a sudden I was co-hosting my first one. And then all of a sudden I was in charge of them for that year in the tech committee. But I think it's just really using the platforms that we already have and that we already see on a day-to-day basis to be able to connect with each other. And so many of the connections that I have developed over the years, through Eastern ACE, have really been I may not have ever met you in person. I may not have ever seen your face, but we probably have connected on social media and been able to, I feel like I've even developed inside jokes with people that I've never met before, which is wild. So I think, Twitter chats are an incredible way to just get involved and meet new people in the field. But we also have the Eastern ACE Facebook Professionals group, which if you have a quick question, you can shoot it in there, see who responds. You can also just sort of see who's there, share an exciting piece of news that you just want other people to shout you out for. And it's just one more place to be able to create community. So much of what people say about Eastern ACE is that it's like a family. These are some of the places you can connect with folks even if you're not at the conference, or even if we can't be in person. I think overall, there are so many new tech platforms that students can use too, to be able to make those virtual connections, even if they can't see folks in person or over video. It's all at their fingertips.
So my question, this is random too, but like, when they say like, I was built for this, I felt like because of the Easter eggs Twitter chat, when we had to go to a virtual conference, I felt like I was already built for throwing my links in the chat and all that, like just being more technologically communicative. So can you speak to like when the pandemic hit, because of all this work and all this committee work and all this technology work, did you feel like you were more built for the remote work that you're actually, the remote work that we were forced to do? Did you feel like your experiences pre-COVID through Eastern EACE prepared you for the pandemic work-wise?
Without a doubt, yeah. I mean, I have always felt pretty comfortable with engaging through just like virtual means. I'm an introvert, very much so. But if you put me behind a screen, I can talk to anybody. It's just, I don't know, it's totally different. So I think this having the skill set of knowing what are the ways I can get my message across through, even if you can't see my face maybe, or, like how do I use emojis or GIFs to be able to add a little bit of levity to things. I feel like I definitely had a much stronger technology related skill set to be able to do that and to sort of like support my team in doing that as well, because of course, like people know that they're like, oh, so you're on the tech committee, you must know the answer to this question. And a lot of the time I do. And it's just, I think, great also to have a source of folks around me through the tech committee who they're also doing a lot of the same work that I am that's very tech related. So to have that community of people around me, even if I don't know the answer, at least I have a lot of really smart people around me who can help me out.
That's why I hang out with Philip, because he's my resident smart person. But in your answer, Al, you talked about this idea of community. So we have a newcomers event coming up on June the 17th, 4 p.m. Shameless plug. But for people trying to get engaged with the organization, just graduated grad school, or maybe thinking about careers as an option, or been in the field for a while but never really delved into professional development or organizations, what are some tips you have for building that community, and what are some things that worked well for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think one of the misconceptions I had myself, and that I want to debunk a little bit for folks who are just starting to think about getting involved, is there's no minimum threshold for like what counts as being involved. Like, I think if you're not ready to jump onto a committee, okay, great. Like, know yourself, that's fine. But there are so many other ways. Like if you want to write a guest blog post, to be having comments through the, with the Eastern EACE community that way. If you want to guest host a Twitter chat, shameless plug, that's always on the table. I think finding ways, even if it's just a one-time thing and you try it out, the worst thing that can possibly happen is that somebody's like, hey, let me help you with that and do it better next time. I've never had anyone at all within any of the Eastern EACE members I've met do anything to like discourage me. I've had nothing but so much support and willingness to help with anything I've brought up. Or even if I'm not asking for help, I often have people like offer to, how can I support you in that? How can I help you to reach that goal? And there's no minimum amount of effort required to just try something new and get involved. And folks will be willing to help.
And then I'm gonna cut you
Bob.
off for a second. Can you just give a quick plug? I know, not to but Eastern EACE does have some Twitter chats coming up, especially on the 1st of June. And then I'll save you the pain of Philip and I June 8th. But can you talk about what's going on in June 1st and just what kind of the genesis behind Twitter chats and some of the affinity building and community development you've been doing there?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're double doing the Twitter chats this month. We're always on the second Tuesday at noon, have lunch together and do some chatting on Twitter about different topics. But I'm really excited that we're doing 2 this month, because one of them is about the conference, which is always the most exciting and engaging chat. But this time around, you have some competition, because on June 1st, the LGBTQIA affinity group is going to be hosting a chat to, sort of create community there. I think these affinity groups, they're still they're not a huge already established thing. They're really still growing. So what better time to start to engage with those folks and really become a solid part of the community just by showing up to that Twitter chat? That can be your first step. It's very approachable. And then, you can come back a week later since you'll still be super excited and engaged for the conference one.
So I got one more question, not question, and then we got the last question for you. So just in general, you shared so many wonderful resources. You shared the Facebook, you shared the Twitter, you shared the blog. Is there any other initiatives of the committee, plugs that you would like to share with us so that we can make sure that everyone, takes part in all the great things that this committee is doing?
Yes, I'm really glad you asked that question. So one of the victories that we've had as a committee this year, we have been working for a few years now on really launching an easier to navigate and more accessible, easier to organize resource center. So in the past, you may remember, if you've been around for a while, there was the Assessment Resource Center, the Employer Resource Center. It was sort of like different places. It's all in one place now. It has a home on the website. You can just go right there and all of the resources are there. You can click on the tag for the topic that you're looking for. If you really want to know about, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a tag off the top of my mind and it's just not coming, but you can search for whatever tag there that you think might be relevant to what you're looking for and actually access resources that were uploaded by other members. And all of the past conference content also lives there. So if you couldn't make it to the conference another year, you can head there. You can check out whatever resources you might want. And it's really if you think about how much you try to reach out to other folks when you don't know about something or you have a question and you're looking for someone else in your field to bounce ideas off of, you can go there literally anytime. I don't know why you'd be working in the middle of the night, but you could go there in the middle of the night and find resources that are relevant. So I think access the resource center, take advantage of it as a member because it's available to you, but also upload your resources. So if you have something you want to share, spread your name throughout the field, totally head there, share your resources because everyone can benefit from them.
No, that's a really fantastic point. And then obviously some of the members are definitely up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. That is definitely their go time for getting some work done. Not looking at anyone on this call, just not going to point elbows or anything here. But anyway, so I'm going to ask you a question here, and you might need a second to think about it. But let's go back to the start of your career. You started your Eastern EACE career. You start of your professional career after graduate school. What's the one thing you wish you knew about, one thing you wish you knew that you know now that you can go back and tell your younger self?
Ooh. Let's see. I think I went into sort of my professional career as well as my Eastern EACE career thinking that someone was going to come to me and tap me on the shoulder and be like, you should try this, or you should be this point person or take the lead on this. I think I almost felt like I needed to wait to be asked to step up and try something new and take the lead on something. And I eventually came to the realization and had enough really amazing mentors along the way that I finally took the leap and tried something new and realized that leadership in Eastern EACE is not, you don't have to be something specific. You don't have to know something specific, but you just have to have the dedication and the drive. And you're not going to become a member and day one be the president, obviously, but you can find ways to get involved, bite-sized pieces. You can be the one to raise your hand, volunteer, try something new. Because I think the leadership that I've developed through Eastern EACE, I didn't come in and already have it. It's something that you develop over time. And I wish that someone had told me, you can be a leader before, so I didn't have to arrive at the realization or have people be like, hey, just so you know, this is something that might be a good fit. I wish that I knew that ahead of time. And I would like everyone to know that you can be a leader in Eastern ACE.
And then real quick, can you give, I know you talked a lot about mentors in Eastern ACE. Can you give them a quick shout out just to say, this is a shameless plug for all the great, I know you talked about Amy and some of your colleagues at Salem State, but if there's people in Eastern ACE that you just want to say, not say thank you, but just give them a shout out for some of the great work. I know you mentioned Dr. Monroe. This would be a great time for that as well.
Yeah. Well, how long do you have? I have like a list of 5 million people.
Philip will play the music when we need to pull you off stage.
Yeah, I was about to say, you literally could just keep on going to the end, and then right at the 30 mark, just say goodbye to everybody. So you got the rest of the time.
This is yours, Ally. So this is your closing argument on the importance of Eastern ACE, but it's a really good chance to thank anyone you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. I mean, I've had so many amazing connections through Eastern ACE, but I think, some of the folks who have really stuck with me and been there for me in even like there's some folks who I can shoot a quick text and be like, this is a weird question. I feel uncomfortable asking, but I know you're not going to judge me. And you've been around for a while, so you kind of get my weird quirks. I love having those people. So I've got like a whole bunch in my corner, and there's like, Carol Spector, of course, like Joe Santa Cruz, Amy and Alicia, that was already mentioned. Barbara Zarillo, like there have been so many incredible people that I've met, anyone from the tech community. I'm just like going to leave people out if I try to go on and on. But Lauren Creamer, I think there have been so many incredible people that I just really don't have time, but those are some of them anyway.
Yeah, I was about to say, I literally can't, I don't get myself in trouble. I have to put it in an Excel spreadsheet. I have a list of mentors, and I could probably go down the list. I mean, it's because, and I say that in the sense that through Eastern ACE, I met many people that actually, similar to what you said, it's twofold. I agree so heartily. Like, you got to jump in, but there's also been experiences, and I'm sure you had this too, where people tapped us too and said, I want you to be on this. And I said, I don't even know what they do. Well, they do. You'll figure it out. And I'm like, and I love that a part of that experience. And I love what you said. I mean, that should be like a t-shirt, like leadership. We're all a leader, because I was about to say, I looked at you as a leader off the break. When I first started joining Twitter and stuff, I never was joining Twitter chats, and you brought me in. So definitely viewed you as a leader, like a litter, like cat litter, but leader in a virtual space. So thank you for that. It's been wonderful. I think we got only one more minute. So I think I will just use this time to say thank you, Ally, for joining us on this conversation. Well, also thank you for all the work you've done with Eastern ACE. I will also go on record and say thank you for bringing and making an inclusive environment in a virtual space. I definitely felt more comfortable joining Eastern ACE because of the Twitter chats and the side messages in the environment, which I know is heavily fueled by you and others. We'll give others credit, but this is you on the show. So I wanted to say that. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing that, because I think learning your journey as a graduate student to now will be very helpful. Bob, do you have any other things to say as we got 15 seconds?
No, I would just say, thank you. I mean, you make the space inviting and very uninviting space sometimes in social media, and making it, you're giving our work some levity. Sometimes it's tough to find levity in the work that anyone does, and then really just empowering and encouraging others to get involved and, be in their space and know that their voice matters. It really makes a difference, especially in spaces like Twitter and Instagram and other places that obviously Eastern ACE has gotten into. And then just making sure that we're taking affinity from a conference to a virtual conference to a Twitter chat with the LGBTQIA affinity group next Tuesday, or 2 Tuesdays, maybe June the 1st.
Yes.
On June the 1st, obviously, but no, it means a lot. And it's something that is from someone myself. It makes it's one of those things on Tuesdays afternoons. If you had a meeting and you had a rough day, you can look to your colleagues that not only shared tremendous information, but had fun doing it. It makes it part of, like you said, the broader community. So for all that amazing work, we really can't thank you enough.
Wow, thank you. You all are gonna make me like, I don't know, not cry. I'm not really a crier, but yeah, wow, thanks for like making my whole day. So kind. And I'll share like a gem or like a piece of information that one of my Amy Smith coming up again. One of the things she shared with me when encouraging me to get involved and try to take on leadership roles is if you're surrounded by your Eastern ACE friends, colleagues, they will not allow you to fail. So give it a shot because all of us will not allow you to fail. You'll be all right.
Pick up slide. Well, thank you so much. For those that missed us live, do not worry. I will be uploading this, and this will be on YouTube so you can watch later. Definitely threw a lot of resources in the chat. I will also make sure to take those resources and links and put them in the show notes of the YouTube for those that watch it later. That's going to be something I'm going to implement in the future for those that heard all these references and all these terms and resources, that they'll be in the show notes. But thank you so much. We're off the live, and join us. I don't even know the date, but join us next month for our next Eastern ACE Conversations with Bob and Phil.